There are two options in sports and in life: the easy way and the hard way. That is up to the athlete or the person to decide. You see it more and more these days. Professional baseball players taking the easy way out, taking steroids, and getting caught. In December of 2011, Ryan Braun, the reigning National League MVP, tested positive for steroids and was punished with a 50-game suspension. He took the easy way out, and he paid for it with playing time. However, as the case was broken apart, the ruling was overturned, and he was set free, essentially, and he is now allowed to play on opening day. As a baseball player, a fanatic of baseball, and someone who followed this case very closely, I got a better sense of what Ryan Braun went through throughout his entire case. I believe the MLB's decision to overrule Braun's 50-game suspension was the right one due to the fact that the testing protocol was broken and it was not followed properly. First, I will go in depth or briefly talk about what steroids are, because some of you may not know. Next, I will explain the MLB's strict drug policy, and then finally, I will explain how Ryan Braun's case basically broke those policies and guidelines. First, I would like to reiterate the point that steroids create an unlevel playing field for all athletes, and I do not condone the use of steroids. First, what are steroids? According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, accessed March 26, 2011, steroids, or anabolic androgenic steroids, are synthetically produced variants of the naturally occurring male sex hormone testosterone. Now, this can be used for a number of reasons other than performance enhancing. It can be used in cancer research, such as people with muscle dystrophy, such as AIDS and other forms of cancer. However, there is a list of harmful effects that steroids also cause. According to the Anabolic Bible Access, March 26, 2012, symptoms include acne, aggression, anaphylactic shock, birth defects, blood clotting, cancer, cardiovascular disease, depression, hair loss, high blood pressure, and liver and kidney issues. This just scrapes the surface on what the harmful effects are. Now, I mean, I've described that steroids can be used for ethical purposes. However, it's these athletes who use these drugs for unethical purposes. And I mentioned the steroid-positive use for a number of things, such as hormone deficiency and a loss of lean muscle, muscle dystrophy that cancer and AIDS causes. Next, I will explain the MLB's drug policy on steroids. According to the ESPN Sports article, steroid penalties much together with agreement, written November 15, 2005, Bud Selig, the commissioner of MLB baseball, and Congress got exactly what they wanted. They got the exact policy that they wanted dealing with punishment in players. The initial punishment was you're caught once, it's a 10-game suspension. You're caught twice, it's a 30-game suspension. 3 times, 60. 4 times, 100, and finally the 5th time there can be a lifetime ban. Selig says in this article, we've taken, in my opinion, a giant step forward in policy making for steroids. However, the legislation has just been rewritten due to Ryan Braun's case that if you're caught the first time, it's a 60-game suspension. If you're caught the second time, it's a 100-game suspension. And if you're caught the third time, 3 strikes and you're out. Lifetime ban. However, there are many loopholes to testing and protocol for the steroid testing process. All positive drug screens must adhere to certain protocol by patients and the collector of the screens. Now, if they're not met, this can cause a bunch of loopholes for the person to go around. Braun's testing guidelines were pretty much went out the window. As stated by the online ESPN Go article, Ryan Braun wins appeal of suspension, written February 24, 2012. This was the first case in MLB history where the outcome was overturned in favor of the player, because all the other cases, they were found guilty, they pled not guilty, they lied under oath, and they were fined, and they almost faced jail time. Throughout the case, Braun and his attorney argued the protocol of the test. However, throughout the entire time, he did not plead innocent to testing positive for steroids. He acknowledged the fact that he tested positive. It was just the fact that the tests were administered under different circumstances, so that they really couldn't count in a court of law. In the MLB article, the union plans to address testing procedures. The MLB and the MLB Players Association stated that any problems in the joint drug policy regarding urine samples and collection will be addressed quickly. The problem behind Ryan Braun's instance was he took a urine test, and the collector, who was supposed to send it in that day, instead took it to his house and refrigerated it in his own personal refrigerator for 48 hours. It was supposed to be sent in that day, however, he didn't. So the test, although the seal on the test was never broken and that it was signed to be his, the argument was it could have still been tampered with. There was a reasonable doubt that it could have been tampered with. In the New York Times article, A Flawed Policy for Drugs, in a 2-to-1 vote, a baseball panel ruled that there were legitimate questions about how the urine sample was treated. The collector, as I said, refrigerated the sample in his personal fridge for 48 hours. According to the article found on City Page's website, accessed March 26, 2012, Braun's representative argued that the delay in delivery opened up the doors for possible contamination of the sample. In no way, shape, or form do I condone the acts of Ryan Braun. However, I do support the fact that the MLB overturned the policy due to the fact that they broke their policies, they broke their rules. He shouldn't pay, even though he got away the first time. I can tell you this Ryan Braun isn't the first case of steroid positive, and there will be many more to come. And policies in MLB are set forth so that this doesn't happen.